Welcome back to another Click Video Mag Tech Explained episode about Lens Day Wednesday. Today we're going to talk about three wonderful glass elements you will only find in L-series lenses. First and foremost, spherical elements. You might have seen these before, might have heard about these before. These have been around since the 1950s. And it's essentially what spherical elements do for wider angle lenses, and especially wider angle zooms. Light that's traveling from the side of the lens takes a different path to light coming through the center of the lens, and when they hit the focal plane, when they hit the sensor, they're not necessarily often in exactly the same place. And what that essentially means is bright sources of light have a tendency to look fuzzy and soft. So Canon didn't invent spherics, but we have started implementing them back in the 1950s, predominantly aimed at our wide angle lenses, because that's where the front elements of these things are often quite wide. And what spherics essentially do is, with a certain type of grinding towards the edges of the lens itself, we're able to bend the light so that it actually hits the film plane at exactly the same time as light coming through the center of the lens. And it gives you overall sharper images. Some lenses, for example, require more than one or two spherical elements. Things like this, which is our 24-105, has actually got two of them in. Things like the 16-35 2.8 has got three, and the wonderful 11-24, we'll talk about that in a future episode. That's got a good chunk of spherical elements in there. Because it's got such a wide front element, at 11mm it's letting an enormous amount of light traveling from the side, light traveling from the center, arriving at two separate times. And as I say, spherics have been around for a long time, and we've put them in almost every single L-series wide angle zoom lens. We also have interesting things that happen in the longer lenses, and these are either UD glass, super UD glass, or fluorite elements. Now UD stands for ultra low dispersion, SUD or super ultra low dispersion. What that essentially is when light travels through a hell of a lot of glass over a longer distance, it tends to disperse into the different colors of the rainbow. Now you might have seen this on a Pink Floyd album cover. When the light hits that prism, the red is at the top because it's a longer wavelength, the blue is at the bottom because it's a shorter wavelength. And what's happening when light's traveling through that long piece of glass to get to the sensor at the back of the camera, the red has bent quite a lot further and now falling behind the film plane, the blue falling short, falling in front of the film plane. And your colors are now no longer quite as real or quite as accurate as they are in real life and when you see them in front of you. So UD glass and super UD glass narrow the amount of dispersion of colors as the light travels through the longer lens. As we get to the bigger, faster prime lenses like the 400 2.8, the 500 f4, with fast apertures, that dispersion becomes even more evident. So Canon developed back in the 1969, we registered the trademark on the technology we call fluorite lens technologies. And fluorite is a crystal that's generated from the chemical element fluorite, and it's a crystal that we manufacture by hand or in factories that we artificially create fluorite lens elements. And what they essentially display is an extremely narrow band of dispersion. So regular glass might have quite a wide band, UD elements is quite narrow, fluorite is the absolute narrowest. So your colors are truer to life than a fluorite element than pretty much anything else. And again, there's no specific indication that your lens has got fluorite in, but if you spent a fair whack of money and it's white and it's got a red line on it and it's big and weighs 5 kilos, there's a very good chance there's some fluorite in there. All you need to know is L-series lenses, we've gone to the absolute pinnacle of technology, not only with the spherics for your wide angle, for pin-sharp shots across the entire wide range, for UD or super UD or fluorite elements in our telephoto lenses for absolute maximum benefit of color. We put the pinnacle of optical performance together in these lenses to call them pro. And that's what that red line or luxury L stands for. That's it for this episode.